Hey, everybody, this is Jason at the Children's Museum Houston. I am right now at our science station, and I am the science outreach manager as well as the life science educator here at the Children's Museum Houston. And this is a very special live today, and you have probably already noticed I have my friend Tim Prather with me. Everybody say hey to Tim, and Tim say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Tim is a geologist with Premier Oil Field Group, and he is here today to show us a very special hobby of his called gem cutting. Do you have some gems you can show us that you've cut beforehand?
Absolutely, Jason.
Oh my gosh, everybody, look how cool those are.
Different
These are
colors and
actually,
varieties here.
oh my goodness. They're all these different colors and shapes that are all really beautiful. That's so great. So before he shows us how we're going to cut gems, which is something you might be interested in doing someday, I'm going to ask him a few questions first because I want to get to know Tim a little better, as I'm sure you want to get to know Tim a little better. You know all about me, you've been watching my videos for months. This is Tim's first time with us. So let's go ahead and start. You ready, Tim?
Sure, absolutely, Jason.
All right, so first of all, you are a geologist. So what got you interested in geology, first of all?
Yeah, good question. I would say a combination of things. Growing up, I always liked walking around outside, you know, trying to observe my environment around me. And there's geology going on everywhere. And I just, I saw soils, being dug up and rocks sticking out of the ground. And I always wondered, how did they get there? How did those form? And so that kind of natural curiosity. I also really loved maps. I just,
Mm.
love making maps, drawing maps, looking at other maps. And geologic maps are really interesting and cool, and they got fun colors. And so that always just kind of drew me in.
Nice. So I can teach geology, but I'm not probably as knowledgeable as you. Can you give us a really good definition of what a geologist does and what geology is? Just really quick and short.
Sure.
Your
So
best
geology
definition.
is this. Yeah. So sure. So geology is the study of the earth. Earth and rocks and plant and processes related to that. And
Nice.
for geologists, really as scientists, we are trained to make observations related to the earth and earth processes to better understand it and apply the scientific method. And so a geologist may, study the chemistry of rocks, or they might study how a river forms in a particular
Mm.
area, or they might, in my industry, try to assist for the exploration of oil and gas so that we can help, fuel our cars and power our power plants and things like that.
Nice. I know some kids are going to want to know this, but we send things to other worlds, right? We sent
Yeah,
people to the moon and we sent robots to Mars. They do work like a geologist, don't they? A lot of them, don't they?
absolutely. In fact, the current rover Perseverance that's there right now, one of its main missions is to study the rocks on Mars to try to understand if there are rocks related to, the formation of life on another planet, which could be a really
Nice.
exciting discovery.
That's really cool. I used to work at the observatory in Los Angeles, and I used to refer to them as robotic geologists, all those rovers like Spirit, Opportunity, Curiosity.
Yeah,
So, um,
that's kind of the first thing you need to understand on another planet, right? Because that's how do those processes that are similar on Earth apply to these other planets? Because Earth has life, so let's look for those signs on other planets.
awesome. So you said a little bit about what Premier does. Give me a little bit more about what they do and what your role exactly is in
Sure.
working for the company.
Sure. So, Premier Oilfield Group is an oilfield services company. So we don't actually drill for oil and gas, but we provide data and analyses through our lab to those companies that actually go searching for oil, so that they can find the most oil and and optimize their operations. Okay, so
Nice.
that's our role in the oil and gas industry. And then my role at Premier as a geologist is to help look at geologic data, make those same observations we were talking about earlier, and also interpretations. So looking at the data and saying, this is what I think this is what I think this is, and putting all those different pieces of the puzzle together to make a coherent picture about there's, this much oil here, there's this much oil here, this is what this reservoir looks like. That's what we refer to as a body that stores oil and gas, a reservoir. So that's what my role is at Premier.
Nice. So one thing I'm sure kids are probably wondering, like, a lot of kids know there's different types of rocks, and they're kind of categorized into three. There's the igneous, the sedimentary, and the metamorphic.
Right.
What kind of rocks would you look for typically, or what rock formations to find oil? Would it be more like igneous or metamorphic or what?
Sure. So I think that's a great question, and it relates back to how those rocks form. So, for instance, igneous rocks are rocks that cool from either a magma or a lava, so they crystallize.
Hmm.
Okay, so those are, think of Hawaii; those are igneous rocks.
Okay.
So, pretty difficult to form oil in those settings. It's too hot; you burn everything up.
Got
With
it.
metamorphic rocks, those rocks have also been subjected to intense heat and pressure. It's an existing
Mm.
rock type that's undergone this metamorphosis. That's what we
Wow,
call
okay.
it, metamorphic rocks. To change that rock type from one rock type to another rock type. And
Okay.
because that high temperature and high pressure, again, you probably won't form oil because it's just too hot. So
Okay.
that leaves us with sedimentary rocks. And
Yeah.
sedimentary rocks form, by the erosion of existing landforms and rocks and the deposition that's putting down these different layers of rock types. They get stacked up. Amongst that, there's life. There are algae. There are fish, commonly in the ocean basins. And as, those creatures pass on or decay, their bodies also get caught up in that stack. And that's what forms the oil, is when you bury those stacks of sedimentary rocks deep enough, but not too deep, that heat and pressure will form oil from their remains.
Nice. So you're looking for sedimentary fields. Things
That's
like,
right,
what is it?
sedimentary rocks. Yep.
Shale, maybe? Is that kind of the
Shale, sandstones, what
sandstone?
we call limestones as well. Yep, those are
Nice.
all big producers of oil and gas.
Well, that is really, really interesting. But we are here to see you do something very, very different than I think most of us are used to seeing.
That's
So
right.
you cut gems like you showed us before. Before you show us how you cut a gem, and when we start to see that part, I'm going to be quiet because I'm going to be just as fascinated as the rest of y'all watching Tim do this. Tell me how you got into doing that. It's a very unique hobby. What made you start to become a gem cutter?
Sure. So when I was getting my undergraduate degree, my bachelor's of science at the University of Texas, I learned that they had a class I could take that was about gemology, the study of gemstones. And as part of that class, they had a certain number of gemstone cutting machines that were designed by Glenn and Martha Vargas. And now the Vargases basically wrote the book on amateur gemstone cutting, and Mr. Vargas built all these old machines that the University of Texas has, and they bestowed those machines to the university so that more younger generations could get into their hobby that they love so much. And they as I said, they wrote the book. They cut gemstones all the time. They donated part of that collection that they had cut to the University of Texas, and they have it on display in their halls. So I'd always walk by those display cases while I was in college, and I'd say, "Wow, how do you even do that? How do you even make that?" Well, I took the
Curiosity.
class,
Yeah.
learned a little bit about it, and I loved it so much. I said I can't stop doing this now that I'm gone. I'm going to invest in my own machine.
Nice. Okay, so before you start showing us the steps and how to cut a gem, show us your display case one more time because I'm sure everyone wants to see
Sure.
them again. And we're
And I
going to
can
show it again
take some of
probably
these out
too.
a little later on and show you an up close version here.
Okay.
So just kind of to walk everyone through. I have them assorted in rows of different gemstone materials. Okay, so you might notice the lighting's not the best, but you might notice there's different colors here.
Yeah.
So this top row, these are kind of yellows and oranges.
Yep.
This row here are purples. These are two different types of gemstone, but are the same mineral. We just have a different name for them based on their color.
Okay.
These are all citrines. Okay,
Okay.
you might know that word,
Yep.
citrine. And then there's amethyst here. You might know that one too.
Amethyst is one of the birthstones, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and citrine actually is an alternate birthstone for the
Okay.
month of November. So it's
Nice.
topaz and citrine for November. So yeah, citrine is just yellow or orange quartz, and then amethyst is purple quartz, and that's actually what I'll be cutting today is an amethyst.
Nice.
We're in
Nice.
March, which the gemstone for that is actually aquamarine, which are these light blues here.
Uh-huh.
But I think amethyst is good because I think you guys will be able to see it a little bit better. It's a little darker purple. And who doesn't love a great, beautiful, deep, vibrant purple color?
I'm with it. So whenever you're
Yeah,
ready, go ahead and start.
sure.
The show is yours at this point.
Okay, great. So let me put this aside. And then I actually I have an example piece of material here, and I have another piece set up. But I'm going to put this, it's called a hand lens or a loop. It's a 10-time magnification. I'll do this a few times throughout this presentation. It'll help you see the material up close.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So this is a raw piece of amethyst gemstone, and it is beautiful. And you know, just by itself, you could make this into a piece of art, and that's what people do is they make gemstone art.
That's so cool.
Well, I just go a little bit further, and I cut the stone to a particular pattern, and I'll show you a little bit about how I do that now.
Sweet.
To start with, you need your material, which we have, and then you need your design. So this book has a series of designs and walks you through, you know, you can see here step by step, removing and cutting away the material to leave these nice geometric shapes. And those shapes on the gemstone coming together at a point or at an edge makes that beautiful, you know, display of color and brilliance in the gemstone itself. So we're going to be cutting this design here today called the pyramid twist. It's probably backwards on your screen, I'm not sure.
No, it's actually forwards. It's looking good.
Perfect. Yeah, so that's the design we're going to cut today.
Nice. Pyramid twist. Sounds like a 50s song.
The pyramid twist, that's right.
Yeah, the pyramid twist.
The pyramid twist. So first things first, this is always really important in the oil and gas industry is safety first, right? So I'm going to put on these goggles, these safety goggles, because things are going to be moving at slightly high speeds, and there's little piece of chips of rock and things like that. I'm going to turn the camera. And so here's the actual piece of equipment we're going to be using today. This is a faceting machine. So I'm going to walk you through a few different pieces of it real quick, and then I'm going to get to cutting, and then we'll talk about it some more. Nice. So I think the thing that always stands out primarily is this vertical up and down piece. This is how you control the different heights. I can turn this thing, and it'll rotate this entire piece down. You can see it moving up and down. So that's how we control really fine movement up and down on the actual machine that spins and cuts the stone. Here's the stone itself, piece of amethyst that's attached. I can move this book. I'll shift you guys a little closer. There we go.
That's really good. Yeah. Yeah, we can see the stone real well.
Yep. So there's the purple amethyst right there. It's mounted on top of this stick. There's some wax holding it in place. It's really strong, brittle wax, so it won't tear away. And then this, and the numbers you see, this is a protractor. Okay, it's a digital protractor, which measures the angle. Okay, so the angle at which you cut is going to help you form that point, right? You're cutting all these little triangles basically to a point, and to get it to a point, you have to cut it at a certain angle. Nice. So this is the angle we're going to start at. It's 43.5 degrees.
And does the book tell you all those angles and things?
Yeah, so these angles come from the design that we had originally.
Nice. Okay.
It's basically like baking a cake. You just follow the instructions. It says cut at this angle, at this position, and that's what you do. And then, you know, there's a little bit of touch to it. There's a little bit of magic that goes on, but other than that, that's really it.
Nice. All right.
Cut at the angle, and it should turn out okay.
Okay.
So that's another piece to it. And then the actual, there's what you can't see here. This is the speed control. So this turns the machine on. So I'm going to do that in a second. And you'll see this surface begin to spin. Okay. This is a diamond plate. It's metal and diamond grit combined. And that's how we cut, is we grind it away. It's like sandpaper. So we're going to put our gemstone, get it ready. Adjust the height a little bit. We lowered it too much. Too much. There we go. So it's just barely touching, because we don't want to start. We want to start out at a just barely touching. I'm going to turn the machine on. There's also one more thing. There's a water tank up here that helps us wash away all that stuff we're grinding.
Got it.
Turn that on. And we're going to start cutting. So we're going to start cutting our first facet. It might get a little loud, I'll try to talk over it. So right there, not making any more noise anymore, right?
No.
That means we have cut to that angle and maybe just a little bit past it. Because now that face of that facet, that's what we call those surfaces that we're cutting, the different shapes or facets, is perfectly parallel with the plate at this angle. Okay?
Okay.
So if I lower the platform a little bit, you'll start to hear it cut again. Cut it some more. You can probably see the numbers.
Yeah,
The
they're changing
a little bit. If I turn it, there we go.
Yep, there we go.
You see the numbers fluctuating. Like cut. And then silence again. That means we're making progress. We're making a flat cut on this stone here. I might be able to pull it off in a second and show you. Cut some more, and I'll show you an example of another stone I've been working on previous to this.
It's really interesting how the noise is what lets you know when you're done. I like that.
Yeah, so that's another thing, right? Everyone thinks it's just about looking at the stone. And I got my own hand lens, my own loop here, so I can take a nice close-up look at it. But it's also about sound, listening for that very specific sound of it that's not cutting anymore.
That's really interesting. I like that.
What they taught me at the University of Texas when I took this class, taught by a man named Mark Helper, Professor Mark Helper. There's a skipping sound. Do you hear that? It occasionally is hitting the lap.
Right there.
It's occasionally hitting this grinding plate. That means we're right at that angle, right? We haven't cut past it at all. It's just barely touching it. So that's how we know we're in a pretty good spot.
Nice.
So let's see if I can scoot this even closer. Let's see if it probably won't work like that. Let's just take a look at this stone here.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Here's another stone I've been working on. This is a blue topaz. Okay, it's actually the state gemstone of Texas, and there's actually a state gem cut of Texas called the Texas Lone Star cut. But that's kind of an advanced cut. So we're just doing a simple one today.
Nice.
But for this cut, this stone, Texas is a Texas blue topaz. It's in an emerald cut. So it's a very rectangular cut. In fact, you can probably see the outline of it, long on two ends, short on two others.
Yep.
Bring up the loop again. I'll show you up close.
Very nice.
That I have cut this stone and polished it a bit. So you can see the glint on those surfaces over there on that side. That's the light bouncing off of the facets that I've cut. As I turn it, you can kind of see the different surfaces. Yep,
you definitely can.
Cut onto it. You can see into it real nice. Yeah. This is well on its way of becoming a gemstone that you can really call your own and mount in a ring or put on a necklace or just like I do, keep it in a case and just pull it out every once in a while and be impressed by how beautiful they are.
Yeah, it's very, very nice.
So that's what we're striving for. That's what we're working towards.
So you would do, how many more cuts would you do before you got to that one being done?
So that good question, Jason. So again, referring back to the instructions here, right now we're cutting this particular facet at 43.5 degrees and at a certain setting on this disc here that helps us maintain the symmetry. And so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different cuts we need to make in order to bring it to a point at the bottom.
Okay.
So right now what I'll do is I'll switch to the next setting and we'll start cutting that one.
Nice.
And we'll get 2 done and then we'll go from there.
So this is 43.5 again?
Stay focused.
Yep.
Spinning machinery here. You might notice I'm wearing long sleeves, but nothing's very loose, right? That's another safety thing.
Yeah.
Almost there.
I heard the skip.
You're getting a little less loud, and then just like that, you can hear it skipping, which means we're basically at that point. So now we put in 2 different cuts. Wipe it off here. And you know what? We'll put in one more, and then I'll take it out of the holder, and we can look at it up close, and we can see the progress we've made.
Sounds good.
So let's switch it. Right now we're cutting at one position. We're going to switch it to another one. So that one cut really quick. You may have noticed it cut really quick. What that means is it's all about how you set up the piece of material on the stick itself that holds it. You can think about it this way: if you have a perfect, cylinder of gemstone material up here, and it's perfectly centered on the stone, every time you lower it down into the machine, it should cut the same amount for each side of the gemstone.
Okay.
But I don't have a perfect cylinder piece of material. If you remember what my original piece looked like,
Yeah.
it's a little longer in some directions. It's got all these little fractures on it.
Mm-hmm.
What that means is if there's a divot or there's a big chunk taken out of the gemstone before I begin cutting it, is that I have to cut even deeper on that side to make it reach far enough in that there's a nice flat surface. So what we have to do here again is lower this down, begin cutting again, until we get to a point where we're satisfied and we think everything's going to meet up at the right point at the top of the gemstone. But that also means we have to go back, right? Because we're trying to cut everything to the same level. We want it all consistent. So that means we'll have to go back to the previous positions we were cutting at and cut those back as well. But that's okay. That's part of this ongoing process of cutting the gemstone. And as we've discussed before, Jason, that can take, it really depends on how long you want to dedicate towards it, how fast you want to go, how precise you want to be, how nice you want it to look in some instances. But it can take up to 8 hours average for me to finish a gemstone, and I won't do it all in one sitting, right?
You'll do like an hour or two.
An hour, yeah, exactly. It's important to take breaks. We're busy with doing other things, but this is a nice, relaxing thing. End of the day, come home, work on this.
Yeah, I can see that as almost like some kids go home and they build Legos to relax for the day. You cut gems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if you like shapes and you like building Legos and you like doing something constructive, this is kind of that same sensation for me. I always loved Legos growing up as a kid. So
I still love them.
Yeah, exactly. So again, that one didn't. That means we gotta lower it some more. Work our way around the stone.
Okay. And if you all see, you'll notice the little counter, it starts to count down to the 4.35.
That's right. So right now it's at 46, okay?
Right.
But we don't want to cut it at 46. So basically what it's doing is it's cutting through these different angles until we hit the angle that we've set it to.
So that's a really good way of helping you keep on track.
Exactly. And so the machines I originally learned on, this is a nice new machine, and it's got this digital protractor. The older machines, they have analog protractors, which means you have to read the angle. There's little marks on it. You have to read it yourself. It doesn't just tell you, which it's nice to have this. But we did some good work on those other machines.
I bet you did. This is really cool, Tim, and I got to ask you a really important question now.
Sure.
When this able to meet up at some point, can I come cut a gem?
Absolutely, Jason.
Can we do a second one where you show me how to do one?
Yeah, we'll go all the way through picking out the material. We've got a box of material over here of different gemstones. We don't just have amethyst. We have aquamarine. We have tourmaline. All different types of gemstone rough. We'll pick out a stone for you. Find a nice one, a color you like. Maybe has a significance of birth, like a gemstone from a birth month, right? We'll put it on the on the dop stick. That's what these little brass rods are called. We'll get it set up in the machine. I'll teach you how to do it. We'll pick out a design and we'll cut a gemstone together.
Nice. Well, can you pull that one out so we can see what you've done so far?
Yeah, sure. So I'll turn that off briefly. Shift this back a little bit. And let's pull out a couple stones, finished stones.
Yeah, let's take a couple look at some finished stones. That's what I'm really wanting to see.
I have a special tool that allows me to grab the gemstones in a certain way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it's just a, kind of spring loaded.
Oh,
Puts
neat.
out these little
Oh,
grabbers. So that's how you grab the stone. So what do you want to look at here, Jason? Do you want to look at an amethyst? We can kind of look at a finished.
amethyst. Let's take a look at an amethyst.
Let's pick out a really big one.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. So open it up. So this is how you always manipulate a gemstone. We don't like to touch them because we get our fingerprints all over them.
Right.
Which is fine. You can always clean them off later. But so I leave it in the little cap. And that's why we have this. It grabs it right off there.
Yeah.
So let me.
All these tools are really fascinating to me. I like seeing new tools.
Yeah, I mean, it's a specialized set for sure for faceting. I've got all these little tweezers and things like that. So I'm gonna hold up the loop again.
Cool.
Get it over the camera.
Oh, that's beautiful.
The top.
Wow.
That's the top of it. We're looking right down the top of it. And if I hold it in profile.
Look how cool that is, everybody. And he made that. He actually made that. That is so cool.
And if you look closely, you'll see tiny imperfections. You'll see certain, things aren't the same thickness or they're a little off. But you know what? When you look at it just like this, you never notice it. And that's the great thing about cutting gems is, I'm always my own harshest critic. I know where all the imperfections are because I cut it myself. But when I show these to people, they don't notice them. So you don't worry about it too much.
Show us one more, like the yellow one you were talking about, the tourmaline.
So I have some tourmalines. That's just another variety. That's the name of the mineral, and then the gemstone names are these are things like rubellite or indicolite. Rubellite doesn't have any relation to ruby other than maybe the color.
Okay.
I've got a large yellow stone here called Heliodor.
Let's take a look at that.
Yeah, so Heliodor, the mineral is the same as aquamarine or emerald. They're all the same mineral, but again, that's the scientific term for it. Gemstones, based on their color, we always have to call them something different so you can distinguish between them. Let's see if I can even pick this one up with this grabber. I might need a different tool. Might be too big. There we go. I think I got it.
Yep. Cool.
Okay. Here's my loop again.
Nice. Oh, that's gorgeous.
Got some little flashes of green in there.
Yes,
maybe.
I'm noticing that. It's very pretty. Oh my gosh.
And we'll
You're really good at this.
Profile again.
Yes, that's really awesome. I can't wait to make one of these. That's going to be great. All right. Well, Tim.
When's your birthday, Jason? Maybe I have this stone for it.
I'm July 6th, so I'm July.
Ooh, July.
That's ruby, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't have any rubies, unfortunately.
That's all right. We can find the closest thing. We'll use a rubidite or whatever it was called.
Let me pull out one more stone for you. It's
all right, one more.
Stone.
Let's take a look.
For all of you, we've seen purple, we've seen yellow. For all you red fans out there.
Oh, yeah, I like it. That's great.
This is a garnet.
We can do garnet. I like garnet.
There you go.
That's real great. Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, Tim, that's so awesome. I really want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, everyone, for learning about my hobby and giving me a chance to talk about it.
That's great. So before we go, I just want to let everybody know, if you are watching this on our YouTube channel, because we are going live, but we put it up later on, please hit subscribe, because then you can see more videos like this. Again, I'm going to hang out with Tim again someday, and there's other geologists I'm going to be talking to from Premier, so it's going to be really fun. If you happen to figure out a way to make a gemstone of your own, I'm sure Tim will want to see that. Go ahead and take pictures, videos of you doing that, and then you can go ahead and put it up on our social media sites. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have it all, Instagram. Go ahead and do that. Even if you find some really cool rocks, some really cool things that may have crystallization in it, show us that too. It's really good. Well, with that, Mr. Tim, thank you so much. Say goodbye to everybody right now. I hope you're all doing well,
everyone. Goodbye.
And I hope to see you soon. Bye for now.